Okay, Judge, I'll go ahead. Stream started, so I'll go ahead and let the party then.
Great, thanks. Hey, good afternoon. This is Judge Stanley speaking. I want to welcome everyone to the Office of Tax Appeals. This hearing is for the appeal of Hodges. The hearing is being live streamed and will be posted on OTA's YouTube channel, so don't show anything on your screen that's private, such as bank statements. Please mute your microphones when you're not speaking, but remember to turn them back on when you need to speak. This hearing is being recorded and transcribed electronically. To ensure we have an accurate record, please speak one at a time and avoid speaking over one another. Also speak clearly and loudly, and when needed, I may stop you to slow you down or whatever we need to ensure proper transcription. After the hearing, the Office of Tax Appeals will produce an electronic transcript only upon request. It will not automatically be produced and posted on OTA's website. So I would officially go on the record, even though we're already being recorded. We're on the record in the appeal of Hodges, Office of Tax Appeals, case number 230814039. The date is March 20, 2025, and the time is 1:02 p.m. The hearing is being held electronically with the agreement of the parties. I'm Judge Stanley. This hearing is being heard under the small case procedure, so I will be the only ALJ conducting the hearing and deciding the matter. As a reminder, the Office of Tax Appeals is not a court, but is an independent appeals body, which is staffed by its own subject matter experts. OTA is independent of the Franchise Tax Board and any other tax agency. I'm going to ask the parties to identify themselves and who they represent, starting with appellant. Just please state your name for the record. Mr. Hodges, you haven't unmuted.
Sorry about that. Just new to this process. My name is Douglas Hodges. I'm representing myself.
Okay, and thank you. And Franchise Tax Board?
Saul Huber on behalf of Franchise Tax Board, and with me is Cynthia Kent.
Okay. As we noted in the minutes and orders, the issue to be decided in this appeal is whether appellant has established an error in the Franchise Tax Board's proposed assessment of additional tax. Excuse me, for the 2019 taxable year. The proposed additional tax of just 1 second, please.
Excuse me, Judge, it's the 2017 tax year on appeal.
The 2017. Sorry. Typo. Thank you for correcting that. The proposed additional tax of $4,190 includes an alleged erroneous refund of $3,138 and $1,052 in tax that was reported on appellant's tax return, but has not yet been paid. Mr. Hodges, do you agree that this is the issue before us today?
For the checks, yes. For the other side, I didn't have a chance to get any corroboration on. But for the check for $3,148.76, that's the issue for me right now.
Okay, and Mr. Tallhuber, do you agree that that's the issue here?
Yes, I do. Thank you, Judge.
Okay. appellant had submitted redacted 2019 Chase Bank statements, which the Office of Tax Appeals marked as Exhibit 1. The Franchise Tax Board did not object to the admissibility of the exhibit and is admitted into evidence. At the pre-hearing conference, the Office of Tax Appeals requested that appellant provide a copy of the June 29th, 2019 bank statement with certain things unredacted. And unfortunately, due to an oversight, those minutes and orders were not mailed prior to the deadline for submitting that document. So Mr. Hodges did submit it shortly after the minutes and orders were actually issued. Mr. Tallhuber, do you have any objection to that unredacted statement?
No objection. Thank you.
Okay, so that'll be marked as Exhibit 2 and will be admitted into evidence without objection. The Franchise Tax Board submitted Exhibits A through L, and appellant did not object to the admissibility of those exhibits, so they are admitted into evidence. Mr. Hodges, you requested 10 minutes for your presentation, including witness testimony. So I'm going to ask you to raise your right hand. Do you swear or affirm that you will tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
Yes.
Okay, you can proceed when you're ready.
Okay. So, like I said, I don't have as much experience as everybody in this forum right now, but I'm just going to try to go through this as quick as possible, just for the simple fact that, you know, when it comes to the error that's coming, I believe it's coming from the Franchise Tax Board. That's how everything started. Originally, when this first started, I was supposedly sent a letter in June of 2022. I never received any letter. So, and every time that there's communication between the Franchise Tax Board and the subject, such as myself, then you have a time frame that's stacked on there. So if whatever happens in the mail, you don't receive it, then all of a sudden it's your fault. And then the actions start, you know, getting greater and greater. So when I received the next copy that they had sent out in July, that's when I started taking action, because I had never received anything in June. So once I started with this process, I immediately called and tried to find out what was going on, because I had not been aware of this. And I called the numbers associated with the letter, and I called to the representatives from the Franchise Tax Board and asked them what was going on. And they said that I had, you know, cashed a check that was an overpayment for my previous tax year. And in doing so, I was like, okay, well, let me know the date, the time, you know, where it was at. And they said it was a check that was mailed to me. And I'm like, okay, I haven't had a check for taxes in over 10, 12, 15 years. So when I asked them, I was like, well, does it show in your system that the check was cashed? They said, no, the check was never cashed in our system. And it was sent to this address that you used to live in Sunnyvale. I lived in Sunnyvale for about 8 years, from roughly October 2011 to about January 2019. So the date that they said they mailed the check to the Sunnyvale address was May of 2019. I had already been removed from that location for over 3 months. So that was it. So starting with that, they said, go ahead and just send in or request a paper to, you know, reissue the check, and then we can go ahead and cancel it from there. And that's where this process has just kept going and going. I'll go ahead and start with basically on January 23rd, you know, skipping down a few communications. I received a notice from the FTB, and they needed some more paperwork regarding this issue. So I took my time, collected everything, and sent out the notice by hard mail on February 17th, which is well within the 30-day guidelines for when I needed to submit everything. And on the Franchise Tax Board message board, I also sent a notice. So that was all that I noted that I was supposed to do. Then when I got a message from the franchise tax board on July 20th. I spoke with Sandra Balderas because the issue that I had with prior to that was in May. They informed me that I didn't respond in time to January 24th. But when I spoke with Sandra Balderas on 7/20, she told me that she had received the communication that I sent. And the reason why that they were saying that I missed that deadline was because she posted this check on the franchise tax board website, which is the communications board. The only problem with that is there's no notifications of any kind that come on that on that message board. You don't get emails, you don't get a phone call, you don't get a text. So nothing comes up. And then the reason that they said that I also missed it was because I got a phone call from supposedly the franchise tax board on June of 27, but there was no voicemail, there was no text, there was nothing. And with the amount of spam calls that come through, how am I supposed to know that that was from the franchise tax board? You know, because I work in HR, I work at the sheriff's office. If I'm calling somebody to have a communication with them, I'm gonna leave some type of number, name, you know, date, time, who I'm with, why I'm calling, something of that nature. So I let it be known that where I sent it out and that Sandra Balderas did receive it. After this issue, I made sure to text the franchise message board and send hard copies. I faxed everything just to make sure that there was no way that the franchise tax board could say that I didn't communicate anything. And I've been responding to all these notices for, you know, close to 3 years now. I've consistently responded to everything else. And as I just stated about my Sunnyvale address, you know, I moved out of that in January of 2019. Let me see. I sent my bank statements from my Chase checking account with all my personal information from January 2019 all the way through December. As the process continued, it seems that it wasn't enough. The main thing that we keep asking about is the June 17th date of the deposit of $29,4876. So if the main reason of this whole thing is a check that's with my name on it with $3,148.76, if that is my signature and on that check, I have no check that's been signed or deposited in my entire account, and I've delivered all of that to the court. So if that's the case of me receiving that check, there's only one place I can do it because it says it's from the Chase Bank. I only have one Chase checking account. Where is the check? Because like I said from the very beginning, when I first called the franchise tax board to find out what was going on, they told me the check had never been cashed. The check had been sent to the wrong or an old outdated address. So if that was the case to where, you know, I was receiving a check, I cashed a check, you know, you franchise tax board, you know, OTA, you guys are the government. You should be able to tell me exactly what date, time, and the amount, whether there's a check, whether it's an automatic deposit. You should be able to tell me all of that. I work in HR. I know how it goes. You know, if for the sheriff's office, if we needed to find out somebody's criminal record, we can type it up and then find out everybody's criminal record based on our access. It's the same thing. So this whole process could have been ended quickly if I could have just known what date, time, where it was at. You guys could even tell me the bank location, and none of that was provided. And I've been going through this back and forth with everybody for about, you know, close to 3 years. Another big thing is when the FTB responded to me, they said that there was an issue. The one I couldn't get corroboration on from my fiance that used to do my taxes. So I guess there was an issue with the number and the category on the taxes. So FTB said by having an issue there, in order to speed things up, they were the ones that placed a 0 in that category. And, you know, in order to complete the taxes. But working in HR, working in law enforcement, just like you guys are working in banking and in the government, there should be no reason why another entity or another agency should enter any information into somebody else's banking or taxes or anything like that to try to complete a form and then call it, an issue on my side. If there was a complete issue with the way that things were filled out, my taxes should have got rejected right then and there and sent right back to me to get fixed. But instead, the franchise tax board entered that in to move forward. So I don't know why that was, considered okay, considering that, we're all government workers and that we're all supposed to follow guidelines and protocols. So if there was that issue, that should have just got kicked back to me, and then I could have figured out how to go ahead and get that worked with and move forward with it. Just trying to figure out the last few things. So basically, that's kind of the end of what I have to say. Is just, from the very beginning, I tried to find out where everything was. I tried to find out, if it was actually a check, if it was actually a deposit. This, as franchise tax board said, that it had not been cashed, it hadn't been sent out. All I had to do was, send out a document, sign it, and said that the check was, reissued and then canceled. And through all of this, I've shown everything besides, my blood and ancestry tree line to give you everything that you need to show you that I've never received this check or cashed this check for this amount that was supposedly sent to me. And, I've been, really, really focused on trying to give you guys everything you need just to get this cleared up. That's it for right now. I mean, I guess I'll just wait for my response for when you guys present.
Thank you, Mr. Hodges. Mr. Tallhuber, do you have any questions for Mr. Hodges at this time?
I do not. Thank you, Judge Stanley.
I do have a couple, Mr. Hodges. That check that was deposited on June 17th, Franchise Tax Board pointed out in their briefing that it is exactly $200 less than the check that was issued, and per the stamps on the check was cashed on June 17th. Is it possible that you would have deposited a check and taken cash back of $200?
If it would show that, it would show the exact amount for the check. That's the thing. And when I called in and verified with Chase Bank, I called in just to make sure, because that was one of the questions that came down from Franchise Tax Board. So I called them and I was like, where's this check from? They said, it's the IRS. I was like, is it the Franchise Tax Board? They're like, no, it has nothing to do with the Franchise Tax Board, but it would show the actual check. If it was $303,148.76, it would show that actual check being deposited in.
Okay, and then the other question I had is on your 2017 tax return, California tax return, you reported tax due of $1,052. Do you have any recollection or information that was ever paid?
I'm not aware of that. Once this whole thing started, that was my first notification of anything being wrong, because I've been filing my taxes every year with no problems until 2022 when this whole thing started.
Yeah, from our record, it looks like it was timely filed, so you did file on time. The only question is whether you have paid what you said you owed at the time. So you apparently don't have any personal recollection of that at this time, right?
No, it's been almost 8 years since everything has happened, and even then it was about almost 6 years since anything had happened. I'd figure, within that amount of time, 2017, something would have came up. But I've been paying my taxes every single year, and this is the first time I've ever had an issue.
Okay, then let me go ahead and you can go ahead and mute now, Mr. Hodges, and I'll turn to Mr. Tallhuber, who also requested 10 minutes. You may proceed when you're ready.
Thank you, Judge Stanley. I think you had just mentioned that the 2017 tax return was timely filed. My understanding in the record reflects that the tax return was late filed on April 15th, 2019. So I just wanted to clarify that before I started my presentation.
You are correct. I'm looking at it right now and it does say 2019. So I'm getting my 2017s and 19s mixed up today. Sorry.
No, I just wanted to clarify that. Otherwise, I'll go ahead and begin my presentation. Thank you again, and good afternoon. This is Tristan Dahlhuber on behalf of Franchise Tax Board. Again, the only issue on appeal is whether appellant has met his burden of proof to establish error in FTB's proposed assessment for the 2017 tax year. Here, appellant late filed his 2017 California tax return, reporting a tax due of $1,052, which he never remitted. Thereafter, while processing the return, FTB erroneously entered $0 as appellant's AGI, resulting in zero tax and an overpayment of $3,148.76, which FTB refunded. Upon discovery of the error, FTB issued a notice of proposed assessment that added back the erroneously issued refund and the tax due as reported on appellant's 2017 tax return. Appellant timely protested and continues to assert on appeal that he never received the erroneous refund. Revenue and Tax Code Section 19368 provides FTB with the authority to assess and collect an erroneous refund, so long as FTB issue a notice and demand for repayment within 2 years after the date of the erroneous refund, or issue an NPA within the applicable period within which FTB may timely issue an NPA, whichever is later. FTB must generally issue an NPA within 4 years of the date the taxpayer filed his or her California tax return. And as appellant filed his 2017 tax return on April 15th, 2019, FTB had until April 15th, 2023 to issue a timely NPA, which it did on July 28th, 2022. FTB's determination is presumed correct, and the taxpayer bears the burden of proving it is erroneous. While appellant asserts that he never received the erroneously issued refund that serves as a portion of FTB's proposed assessment, Exhibit I is a copy of the warrant from the California State Controller's Office for tax year 2017, which indicates that the erroneously issued refund check was endorsed and cashed by the appellant on June 17th, 2019. Furthermore, while appellant provides a copy of his bank statements indicating that there is no deposit in the exact amount of the erroneously issued refund check, there is a credit of $200 less than the refund amount on the same date noted on the warrant from the State Controller's Office, suggesting that appellant deposited the refund warrant and requested a $200 cashback withdrawal. Appellant provides no evidence to explain his signature on the check warrant or to show that the credit on his bank statement is unrelated to the erroneously issued refund. Furthermore, appellant provides no evidence or argument regarding the portion of tax due as reported on his original 2017 tax return. As for the issue of interest, FTB properly abated interest for the period from the date of the erroneous refund to 30 days following FTB's issuance of the valid erroneous refund demand letter dated June 3rd, 2022, and appellant has not established any basis to abate any additional interest. To conclude, because appellant has not established error in FTB's proposed assessment, nor established a basis to abate interest beyond the aforementioned interest abatement period, respondent's action should be sustained. Thank you, and I'm happy to answer any questions.
Thank you, Mr. Dahlhuber. I don't have any questions at this time, so I'm going to turn back to you, Mr. Hodges. You can have 5 minutes to rebut anything Mr. Dahlhuber said or make any extra points that you forgot to make.
Okay, I'll just go back to it because I mean, what he's actually saying is, I don't agree with, just for the simple fact that why, when I called the FTB to like very, very beginning, why could they not locate anything? Why could they not tell me anything? They said the check had not been cashed, and now all of a sudden they're saying that the check has been cashed. So I don't know where everything's, getting mixed up. And especially the other point that I wanted to make is is the why is the IRS or the franchise tax board putting in different numbers that they could have just kicked back if something was wrong? If something was erroneous, something was wrong, why not just kick it back? Why put a zero in that section and then make it go forward to cause an issue? Like I said, we're held accountable for what we do over here in HR, right? Why isn't FTB held accountable for what they do? So we don't put if there's something wrong with the document, we don't just fill it in. We don't just send it out and then try to complete it, because then that'd be, falsification on us, right? So in the event that, they're saying that I cashed this check on that date, there's they can't even tell me, when the check was cashed. I'm sitting there telling you that I've called my bank. My bank said it had nothing to do with the FTB. They said this is what it is. So if they're trying to say that this was the date, then show me something else, because I provided everything that you guys need. So saying that I'm sitting here trying to, get over on anybody is just wrong. I'm literally just giving you everything. I have not, uh, received this check, and all I want to do is just get this done and over with. So I just, would like some accountability from the FTB to just, say that they had an issue with I guess my filing back in 2017, and they added extra numbers on there to cause this issue to go forward. So why can't they just tell me, like, look, this is the date time that we have on our side, because you can see everything from the tax side. You guys can, track everything. So why is it all on me to just say, like, look, here's everything I have, and I have not done this? Why can't I see anything from their side saying, like, look, here's the date, time, here's the branch that you went to, something like that. Everything's based on what I have. Okay, cool. But I told you, I have not received this check. And I called my bank just to make sure, and like I said, it's been over 5 years since has supposedly happened. So I just want a little accountability from the franchise tax board side, just to, let me know, you know, what is it? Because from the very beginning, again, you guys said that it wasn't even cashed. And now all of a sudden you guys are saying it's cashed. So that's my question to him.
Okay, thank you. I think I will ask Mr. Thalhuber to answer that answer your question. Mr. Thalhuber, could you address whether the franchise tax board can direct Mr. Hodges to a certain date, time, or bank branch where the check was deposited?
Well, as far as the date and bank, I can clarify that for Mr. Hodges. On Exhibit I, there's a copy of the check warrant from the California State Controller's Office for the 2017 tax year. On that warrant that is signed by Mr. Hodges, it indicates that the refund check was endorsed and cashed on June 17th, 2019, and also indicates that it was cashed to a JP Morgan Chase bank account.
So what branch, what city, what state, all those different things.
Okay, I understand, Mr. Hodges. I think that what Mr. Thalhuber was saying or implying was that only the date and the bank are what they have available to them. They don't have a particular time of day or a particular branch where it was deposited. Okay, do you have any other questions for me, Mr. Hodges?
No, ma'am.
Okay, then I'm going to close the record in the appeal of Hodges. I want to thank everyone for participating today. The Office of Tax Appeals will issue a written decision within 100 days of when the record closes. And today's hearing is now concluded. You all enjoy the rest of your afternoon.